Us apart. I sung the lonely song until you came along. I'm heading for the right Sunday, and I'm telling you what this love will do. I wanna live, I wanna live, I wanna live, I wanna live, I wanna live and love always.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that. So that's actually what we received from them. And as you can probably tell, it's a really, really cool interpretation of Hank Williams' I Want to Live and Love. This is a song that was written in the late 40s, if I'm correct. And they really made a super energetic performance out of this fantastic song. As you can probably hear already from their mix, especially drums and vocals are not properly recorded, I should say. But again, this is the challenge for today. This is more like a mixing rescue sort of session. So let's see what they provided to us in terms of tracks. I'm just going to give you a basic playout of the tracks. But before doing that, I just want to give you I would just want to give a big shout out to the whole band. So the members, here we have Jean-Baptiste Tandé, who's been my main contact, the guy that's provided the tracks, and he's the guitar player and the lead singer of the band. Then we have David Adrian on drums. Cool stuff. I love your sound, but most likely your performance. Juan Villarroel on double bass. Big shout out to you as well. And Hugo Farnacem, I hope I didn't butcher your name, on the violin. So without further ado, I would really like you to hear the recordings basically as they come. You should be able to see me up there. And let's give it a play. Let's give it a little bit of a play. This is the introduction track. This is the introduction guitar track. Well, you can probably hear in this track it's some squeaky noises on the chair. And here we have the actual recordings, everybody kicking in. So if we start soloing the tracks, I'm gonna give it a few more seconds.
I want to live and love under the stars.
It's the vocal track.
I want to hold you close to my heart.
And
You
for the vocals
gave me
in solo.
hopes in you when I was sad and blue, and nothing's gonna keep us apart. I sung a lonely song.
So the main problem with this track has been recorded with the stereo mic in a pretty live room, non-treated, and I can hear the metronome bleeding off his headphones, big time. Pay attention to it.
Song until you came along. I'm heading for the bright sunny day, and I'm telling you what this love will do. I wanna live and love always.
Alright, that's that. The other thing that I believe it's really needing a lot of love is this drum track over here. Let me just show you real quick. It's the raw. Yeah, like that. So at first I thought it was a stereo track. Let me check. Thought it was a stereo track, but if I actually look at my meters, it's a deadly mono one. I can even triple check it with the goniometer on the master bus. Just make sure So it's absolutely a mono track that's been recorded on 2 channels. So I'm just gonna make it mono. I don't need anything in there. And as you can hear, it's sort of like, I should say, I don't know, a trash mic. That's how we call it in the studio, to be honest. So it's not really super exciting. And that was the biggest challenge, because I got back to the band saying, I love your track, I love your energy, I really love the video itself, and I really like to use this song because I believe it would be a great example of no matter what you have in front of you, you can still make music and share it with the world. If the content is there and the performance is there, then it's super, super, super good. There's nothing to be worried about. Some professionals hopefully will rescue your recordings, and that's what we'll be trying to do in here within 15-20 minutes. And let's see if we can bring it to the next level and everybody can appreciate it even more. So those were the 2 main problematic tracks. Again, the actual drum track and the vocal track. What I did is I asked if they could re-record those 2 instruments, and of course Jean-Baptiste could re-record with the same material but in a little bit more, I would say, dead room, so more acoustic treated room for his voice, and that was great. So I received another track, and that's what you see over here. That's his main re-recorded vocals. That's great. But drums, I had no chance to basically make the drummer record one more time, and that was yeah, that was kind of troubling, to be honest, because I'm like, oh my god, I don't really have enough definition here. It's you know, it's almost a sausage. Check it out one more time. If I am solo it. I must say, big shout out to Jean-Baptiste to mix this track on, and that's the mix you heard at the very beginning on the video, and that's their mix, because he did an incredible job, to be honest, if you think about the fact that he's not a professional engineer. He even mixed this, I believe, within his video editor, so, you know, he managed to get pretty cool sound out of it. Again, not ideal, but that's our starting point. So the other instruments were kind of okay. I mentioned there was this squeaky, it was squeaky at the very beginning, the electric guitar. There were these squeaky sounds from the actual chair movements. So if we just solo those have been RX'd out. So let me just play it against what we RX'd. You hear those? Create a quick loop so you can hear. There's multiple of those. So what I did is I just RX'd it. Well, I should say Christian did it for me. Big shout out to you, man. Yep, magic, it's gone. So that was an incredible job that Christian did for us, so big shout out to him as well. As I mentioned a couple of days ago on an Instagram live on the Lennon Bus, Christian has become a partner of the RedStone Productions studios. So thank you for making the time to help me out with this project. In details, what he did is actually he cleaned up with a specific software called RX, which allows you to do restoration, specific detail, cleanup of any audio tracks. The other tracks we have here, as I mentioned, are the electric guitar. Again, all of these tracks are recorded in stereo for some reason. I think it's because the built-in mic of whatever tablet or computer they were using, or the Zoom H5. But the electric guitar track is pretty good. So the first thing I did here is I just, again, cleaned it up a bit, super low end cuts right there. And a little bit of, yeah, tiny little bit of compression just to keep it in check. cool. And then one of my favorite EQs, push pretty much to the limit. At the end of the days, this is a rescue mission, and I'm not gonna spend, you know, plenty of hours. We don't have that time. This was a spontaneous recording they did with a great video, so I'm just gonna, you know, just butcher it in order to make it rescued. So that's that. And then I pan this slowly towards the left. Now, if you actually check up the video itself, you probably can see it, he's placed over to the right. But for some reason, the recording itself suggested me, you can see that the right channel is actually a little bit lower than the left. And that kind of gave me the information that I needed, that it should be panned to the left to get the best possible sound. But if the guys want to have an export with the violin to the left and the guitar towards the right, we can make that happen. It's completely up to you. But in terms of sound, they blend better if they go guitar to the left and violin to the right. So that's minus, I think it was a minus 16 pan I had going on in there. And then I did two sends. So the first send is to a reverb. It's a room space with a little bit of pre-delay. And that sounds like this. Without it. It's good, just blending. So I'm sending plenty of instruments, all the instruments to this room. Verb, that's the space designer from Apple itself. And then I also have a delay, which I mainly use for vocals, but I also use it to blend all the other instruments as well. So let's have a quick listen to that part as well. So we can quickly do this like that. I'm using a UAD Galaxy Tape Echo. So let's see how that sounds. A little bit, that's just a little bit to make it a little bit fatter and fit better within the actual sound stage we have in front of us. Double bass was pretty okay, but there were a little bit of quirkiness to also fix in here as well. So if I just put myself in solo here, put the double bass, let's go to a part where it's playing more consistently. It's pretty good, but as you can see from the MIDI itself, it's not left and right are not matched, so they're using again, I think, an XY built-in mic, so kind of one of those stereo mics built into your telephone, or maybe it was an H5. I didn't get specific details on which instruments was recorded on a Zoom H5. So all I did in there is just I basically lowered the right channel gain by 2.9 dBs just to make it a little bit more even. Let's keep an eye on the meters here and also hear it. Yeah, a little bit more balance there. So followed by an 1176 to make it super even. I mean, there's no way to get it wrong there. So that's great. And then here, one of our favorite EQs, to be honest. This is a Mag EQ4 from Universal Audio, and what I did in here is plus 0.5 at the sub frequency. Then I did a +1 at 40 Hertz, +1 at 160 Hertz, and that's about it. Let's try to hear it with and without. It's just better. It's a better maker sort of thing. It sounds really, really sweet. The other thing I did is tiny little bit of critical cuts. So I cut some 240 Hertz and some 365 Hertz. So some of that boxiness out. And the next thing I did, that was it for the bass, so that was pretty straightforward. Again, I'm presenting you a static mix, so what I mean with that, I'm not gonna be doing a lot of automation. There's some little clip gain adjustments that I did here and there, so you can probably tell from the edits, but it's a pretty static mix, which is basically what they wanted. The other thing, if we move to the violin itself, well, this sounds pretty sweet by itself as well. It's no plugins on it. Probably some reverb has been printed along with this track. So it's again a stereo track. It is a true stereo track, not like the drums. A little bit of EQ. There's a little resonance here, 530 Hertz, and a wide bell cutting 0.5 dBs up 1.5 kilohertz. And so that was my EQ curve, very minimal, just schnizzle, little schnizzle there. The other thing I did is engage my API 550A, Universal Audio Edition. Here I did some 2 dBs of boost at 400 Hertz, 2 dBs of boost at 5 kilohertz, and 6 dBs of boost at 12.5 kilohertz. Let's check that out. Let's go to a part where we can better appreciate what's going on here. There we go. So, just different parts so you get a proper idea of what's going on. I don't know, this EQ just makes things pop up and make it 3D, so that's why I really like it. It's super simple. I mean, there's not really much you can do in terms of options, but it sounds beautiful. And those EQ points and the way this EQ has been designed and even sort of sampled within the Universal Audio plugin library, it's really, really fantastic. Next thing that I put on is my trusted 1176 Revision D, which is doing this much. So without it first. It's doing quite a lot. It's catching that. So it's doing quite a lot, which is great. And then send to the same reverb. Let me engage it. And I send to the same delay. Let me engage it. Let's make it spacious. So far what we have going on is the electric guitar and double bass in the violin. Let's give it a check. If I check where we were at before. Cool. So next thing that's what I'm gonna open right now is that tricky vocal track. So let's see what's the deal here. So we had the original vocal track that's been recorded in a not such an ideal scenario, and that's the first one, the one on yellow. Let's give it a loop and let's hear it one more time.
I want to live and love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart.
Like your voice, Jean-Baptiste, but I can hear a lot of the room. I can hear a lot of the metronome bleed, and there are points where it's actually really distorting. So check this part out. So next time, watch out for your levels first and get a little bit closer to that microphone. That normally works out great, but in our case, you were so nice that you actually went in there and recorded one more version for me, so thanks for that. This is the part where it actually craps out, distorts.
I wanna shout.
Sorry about that, but that's what it is. So I'm like, man, I need, if possible, of course, if it is possible, another track, and that's what is sent to us. Let me just disengage all my processing so we can compare those two. So that's the new track.
I wanna shout hooray and pray the lucky day that you came working right into my life. I'm gonna change my plans cause I'm a different man. I'm through with all this trouble this time. I used to feel so bad, but now I feel so glad. I'm heading for the bright sunny day. And I'm telling you what this love will do. I wanna live and love.
So this gave me something so much better to work with, and that's how I treat it. So let me mute my previous, let's call it scratch vocal. I'm not gonna use that. I can actually hide the track itself. Boom. And in here, let's see, this again was delivered, this re-recorded vocal track, as a stereo track for some reason. I think it's because how he recorded it.
I wanna shout hooray and pray the lucky day that you can.
I could have left it stereo like I did with the violin and the electric guitar, but in this case I really wanted to get a proper center image and not something that was completely shifting back and forth. So what I did is I just, as you can see here with a click, I made it mono. I made the status of the channel to mono. So once I did that, I engaged the first the first compressor right there. So let me go at the very beginning here.
I want to live and love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart.
That's how much it's doing.
You gave me hopes in you when I was sad and blue, and nothing's gonna keep us
doing what the 1176 is so famous for, grabbing stuff. The other thing I used is another EQ4 from Mag Audio. And here I'm boosting a little bit of throat, super low throat I should call it, 0.5 dBs though. Boost, another 0.5 dB at 40 Hertz, a 1 dB boost at 160 Hertz, another 1 dB boost at 2.5 kilohertz, that's the presence, the intelligibility of the vocals themselves, and 2.5 dB boost at 20 kilohertz, that's the air band. Let's hear that without and with, without first.
I want to live and love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart. You gave me hopes in you when I was sad and blue, and nothing's gonna keep us apart. I sang a lonely song until you came.
So it's doing just a fantastic job of evening out the vocals, bringing up the presence, but also the chest. So really, really good, which, guess what, followed by another EQ from API in this case, 550A, one of my very favorites. Now we're doing a little boost at 200 Hz, 4 dBs, nothing on the mid band, and a 12.5 kilohertz of 4 dB boost. Let's hear with and without.
I want to live and love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart. You gave me hopes in you when I was sad and...
You know, without it sounds kind of a little bit hollow still, so with it, it's just makes it so much bigger than life, man. So that's that, and then we're gonna unsolo this vocal track because it doesn't make so much sense to do so much EQs without hearing in context, but again, we're moving fast here. And this is the Helios, which I use just to bring up some 120 Hertz. Let's hear that back. That's more chest. Without.
I want to live and love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart. You gave me hopes in you when I was sad and blue, and nothing's gonna keep us apart. I sang a lonely song until you came along. I'm heading for the bright sunny day.
I should be able to be back here on the screen, and in here you guys should be able to see what kind of treatment I did on the drums. Again, let me go back to camera one. I want to do a big shout out to Hendrik, Alex, and Inigo for not being here. I mean, what I mean with that is it's so difficult, guys, to being able to operate all of this stuff without, you know, without anybody that's like, wait, I'll take care of the audio, I'll take care of camera 1, camera 2. No, I need to do it all by myself, and to be honest, sometimes I screw up, I believe. So let's jump back to it. In here you can basically see the drum track. It's a mono track. It's mainly what you hear. It's what you mainly hear. It's just snare and a lot of distortion and cymbals. So my first EQ. So I'm getting rid of all of the nasty stuff up here, and I'm bringing up some of the kick. Basically, that's what I'm doing there. Then I'm using one of those Dancy Fancy ones. That's a Fairchild 670, and let's see what that's doing. It's just giving some mojo. I was hoping for the best, and it did some pretty good stuff to it. I'm using only one channel, of course. That's great. The next thing I'm doing as well, it's our usual boost 120 Hertz. That's kind of what I'm doing here. Something with the curve of this Helios 69, especially at that 120 Hertz, I think it has to do with the curve. It has to do with the curve for sure. It's so musical. So whenever I need to boost 120, that's most likely going to be my man. So that's that. And then I try to go for something a little bit more creative, which is, yeah, let's try to make this thing sound bigger than it actually is. So let me disengage it. It's doing a little bit. Well, it is doing a little bit if I engage it. Now we can hear it. Let me bring it back to the drive. I was like, oh, I can't really quite hear you. Yep. So this is without. Focus on the low end. Focus on the kick. So I need to make that kick big when I had no kick. So that's one of the tricks I can use. The Vitalizer from SPL on a UAD plugin platform. Yeah, it's just making it sound beefier. I do have the hardware of this guy in the studio, but not there yet. Hopefully within 2 to 3 weeks, first week of June, we should be able to go back to it. The next thing I did, I created a parallel chain. Let's engage that. Again, this is one of those big strokes that I wouldn't normally do, but this guy would definitely need a lot of work. So I created a parallel chain where I basically went banana with the settings. I wanted more low end of the kick, less of the splashiness of the cymbals and the snare itself. So that's what I did. Yeah, before it there's a Fairchild and another SPL Vitalizer. So let's start with the first plugin first on the chain. Fairchild. So now things are starting to sound like drums, even though they are still a trashy drum sound. Now moving forward to the second send, that's the send to the same reverb that we use for everybody else. Let's hear how everything sounds like in there. Let's compare with what we had before, no plugins. Cool. cool. So it's definitely sounding way bigger. What I did is another attempt to make these drums sound stereo with a sort of like a different curve. So all I did is basically one more parallel. I call it stereo drums. These guys have been sent to the same parallel chains, which is a drum parallel and the bass and the main reverb, sorry. And the EQ curve, it's sort of similar, but tucked under the main mono tracks. So let's hear those two guys together without it. So, and I could have probably even stopped there. Let me go to a part where he also starts singing.
I want to live in love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart. You gave me hopes and you when I was sad and blue, and nothing's gonna keep us apart. I sang a lonely song until you came along. I'm heading for the bright sunny day.
So pretty good. Let me bring this drum sound, this drum down, things around there. Because then what I did is, okay, what if I actually ask, next step I did is, what if I ask, same guy that did the RX on the intro guitar, to turn this drum performance, mono, squashed one, trash mic, into some MIDI triggers, some MIDI tracks that could trigger some other samples. This is kind of a tedious job, and yeah, so Christian was super nice to do this for me, basically. It was done in a really super quick fashion. I received the files yesterday, and you know, I just imported today, and I pre-mixed this a few hours before the show, to be honest, and samples could be adjusted, some edits should be done, but all in all, now I'm gonna play you the drums with the samples without first, and then I'm gonna engage it, and you can see how much difference there is. The drum samples, basically what we used is, I think you used Ableton Live, you can do it with Logic as well, fairly easy. This occasion was fairly complicated because everything is in one track with no dynamic range, so it's kind of difficult for your DAW to figure out what's what. But then let the DAW do what it does best, and then you're gonna go in there and manually duplicate the tracks and create different lanes for different kick, snare, hats, and all of the different drum pieces. So without it, with the drum samples, makes a huge difference, guys. So, you know, I can jump to another part. Let's see, maybe here.
And love always.
And now I can push them more or less, since, again, this is still the scenario. So, since this is still the scenario, look at the screen. I don't want to push these drums so super much. So what I will be doing is just create a nice blend where you don't kind of really see that it's been also triggered, because again, these guys played live on, you know, from distance. So I don't want to create that sort of fake sound. So I'm just tuck it under.
And love always. I wanna shout hooray and pray the lucky day that you've been working right into my life. I'm gonna change my plans, cause I'm a different man. I'm through all the trouble this time. I used to feel so bad, but now I feel so glad. I'm heading for the bright sunny day. And I'm telling you what this love will do. I wanna live and love always.
as you can see, you could even mix this track without taking the extra time on the actual drum samples, but I think it was a good way to show you how you can even go that route. The other thing, which is kind of really interesting, I would say, is yeah, what I did on the master bus. So all the tracks go into the master bus where I did the couple of notches of 465, 760, and 1000 hertz, no more than 1.5 dB cuts on bells. Then I used my trusted SSL bus compressor, doing its thing, 421 auto attack and 30 milliseconds auto release and 30 milliseconds attack, so super slow. Sidechain filter somewhere around 60 hertz, just to make sure that the low end doesn't overpower. My actual SSL bus compressor from UAD, and the next thing I did, I of course engaged my hardware insert, which over here we can ping it, and that's this guy over here. So this is my hardware insert for this session and the majority of the session while we are here in the house. So what I did in there is basically going out on channel 3 and 4 and go into the Mag EQ, then the Vari-Mu and the Massive Passive Mastering Edition. And that, let me create a quick loop here, that sounds like this without. So none of this, no.
I want to live in love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart. You gave me hopes and you when I was sad and blue, and nothing's gonna keep us apart. I sung a lonely song until you came along. I'm heading for the bright sunny day, and I'm telling you what this love will do. I wanna live and love always. I wanna shout hooray and pray the lucky day that you came working right into my life. I'm gonna change my plans cause I'm a different man. I threw all the trouble this time. I used to feel
that what I want to kind of say real quick over here is that basically I'm using quite a lot of the air band, 15 kilohertz in this case. That's where I'm boosting a bit, boosting 1 dB at 2.5 kilohertz. Again, the presence of the vocals, 0.5 dB on 650 hertz, 160 hertz, 0.5, 1 dB at 40 hertz, and 1 dB on the sub frequencies. Trying to make up that for that missing low end, if you know what I mean. This is super musically cool EQ. There's nothing, I mean, that's really difficult to make it sound bad, to be honest. So it's just makes sounds everything better. And those are the settings I use in there. When it comes down to the Vari-Mu over here, you can kind of see the setups they have going on. It's, again, it's the same on the same channels. I'm using in non-link mode, so dual mono. Pretty fast attack and release, not the fastest, but the medium fast attack and release. And this is, by the way, fairly slow compressor. It is in compressor mode, or not on limit mode. The sidechain is engaged on both channels, so the low end is not over triggering my detector. And that's doing this much gain reduction.
I want to live in love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart. You gave me.
Next thing I did, let me bring this guy up a bit. So next thing I did there is I inserted my massive passive. The same on the left is onto the right channels. I'm just gonna straight the right. Starting from the bottom, I'm just boosting with the shelf at 68 hertz. I'm boosting, it's gonna be 5 clicks, so somewhere around 2 dBs, maybe less. And then I'm boosting at 6 kilohertz, a little bit less than those 5 clicks. Again, it's a bell in this case, and then I'm boosting some 12K with a shelf, about 7 clicks, 12K. So with and without.
I want to live in love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart. You gave me hopes in you when I was sad and blue, and now
just making sound everything better, if you ask me. So it's a really nice, yeah, it's a massive passive. So it's a passive EQ, which is super musical by definition. It's kind of a Pultec on steroids with 4 bands. Again, long story short. So that's with that. Next thing that I want to do is also showcase that I inserted another Mag EQ. I know, I'm getting a little bit addictive to this guy. And I'm doing a boost, this case at 40 kilohertz. And I'm doing a 0.5 dB boost at 40 hertz. It's just finishing it off. Let me play again the part where everybody's kicking in.
I want to live and love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart. You gave me hopes in you when I was sad and blue, and nothing's gonna keep us apart. I sung them long.
So without further ado, what I would really like you to do right now, and that's, you know, so sit down if you're still in there, and I'm gonna play the entire track with the video on top. Little spoiler alert, since he re-recorded the vocals, there are parts that are not absolutely frame accurate in terms of sync with the video itself. I mean, that's just the thing, that if he wants to re-record the vocals or change the video of the vocals, he can do that. But again, now how long it's been? Well, about 40 minutes that I've been talking here. So the idea here is that no matter what you have available in front of you, don't take that as an excuse to procrastinate stuff. It's like, yeah, I don't have the right setup home. Let's wait till this COVID-19 goes away. Well, guess what? It's probably going to stay for long, unfortunately. And whatever you have, just please use whatever you have and keep on sending us your tracks. Again, there's only one way to do that correctly, and that is by simply providing your tracks to info@redstoneproductions.nl. That you can find it right now on the screen. It's right there. Just please send your tracks at info@redstoneproductions.nl. Without further ado, I will just play the entire song. I will also do an export so I can send the file straight to the band. So please don't forget to subscribe. Next week Friday, we have a very, very, very special session. Some spoilers have already been published on IG, on Instagram account, so please go over there if you really want to know what's gonna happen. Gonna have also some giveaways for you, so stay tuned for that. As of now, I'm just gonna open up the track, make sure everything is engaged on my end. It is. Bring this big guy over screen, or full screen. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this session, and please keep on subscribing. Don't forget, you know, to submit your tracks. We are here trying to help each other out. The idea is to basically make sure that we don't waste this time, but we learn something out of it. I'm still learning how to use this switcher, as you can probably tell. And I'm sure by the time, you know, we have 2 more shows, I'm probably going to be proficient at it. All right, enjoy.
I sang a lonely song until you came along. I'm heading for the bright sunny day, and I'm telling you what this love will do. I wanna live and love always. I wanna shout hooray and pray the lucky day that you came working right into my life. I'm gonna change my plans, cause I'm a different man. I threw all the trouble this time. I used to feel so bad, but now I feel so glad. I'm heading for the bright sunny day, and I'm telling you what this love will do. I wanna live and love always. I want to live and love under the stars above. I want to hold you close to my heart. You gave me hopes and you when I was sad and blue, and nothing's gonna keep us apart. I sang a lonely song until you came along. I'm heading for the bright sunny day, and I'm telling you what this love will do. I wanna live, I wanna live, I wanna live, I wanna live, I wanna live and love.